Welcome to the Pretty Confident Podcast, where we embrace authenticity, own our worth, and build unshakable confidence. I'm your host, Sierra Renee, so let's dive in.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to another episode. Y'all know I have to do that because I still have not found that sound effect. I don't know. And nobody has helped me out with what the sound effect is called because in CapCut, you have to be real specific. I've done game, buzzer, just all types of stuff, and I just cannot find it. But anyway, how are you guys doing? Welcome back to another episode. New listeners, thank you so much for being here and tuning in. For your first time, we are popping your pretty confident cherry. And if you are a returning listener or an OG, thank you so much for coming back and sticking through thick and thin with your girl. Okay, you guys, I just feel so good today, and you guys know what it means when I feel good. Multiple episodes. Yes, multiple episodes. So I'm hoping that I can do like 4 episodes. That'll be like a world record for me, or maybe even 6. I don't know. But I am just in such a good mood. I'm in such a good like headspace. You guys, with pregnancy, no matter how good the pregnancy may be, because my pregnancy has been amazing. I have not had any type of trauma stories to like give to anybody, but there is still a mental component that us pregnant people have to get over. You know, sometimes we overthink, we overanalyze, we have anxiety about things. Like, it's just like a mental thing that is going on. And if you're already facing mental issues or, you know, just mental challenges in your life, pregnancy can kind of weigh on that. So I feel like I've had a great pregnancy so far, but yesterday I was so down in the dumps. Like, I really wanted to record a couple episodes, but I was just so down in the dumps and I didn't know why. My husband was trying to figure it out. I'm like, honestly, it's nothing about you or what you've done or anything like that. I just feel like I'm just down. Like, my mood is just down. I just don't feel uppity, preppity, whatever. So doing things that, can kind of bring you out of that slump, talking to somebody if you feel like that's what you need, because sometimes we don't need to talk. Sometimes we just want to sit with ourselves and figure out what's going on, and not even figure out what's going on because we honestly don't know what's wrong. It's just like a feeling that we have, and we just want to be by ourselves. That is perfectly okay. So, I went to wash my car, got home, like did some more things to my car, because honestly, I haven't told y'all, but I have had a newfound passion. Now, one thing I will say, which this may be for a different episode on a different day, but I have not had any food cravings. It's more like cravings of smell. Like, I want to smell fresh things. I want to smell like things that are clean and fresh and have a fresh scent to it. Like, that has just been something that I've just been craving. Like, literally, I smelled a box of don't laugh at me, y'all, because there's somebody out there like this, or even worse. Okay, I was smelling the box of little Gain sheets that you put in the dryer sheets. Oh, I was like, oh, this just smells so good. And then I have like the automatic air freshener. I think that's Glad or Glade, whatever you want to call it. Glade, because it has an E on the end. Wow, I've always called it Glad. Well, that's something new that I just found out. Yeah, so the Glade automatic air freshener or whatever, like, you can put it on a timer. It has a timer on the inside that you could just set it on. And I think it's like every 30 something minutes for us. So I have 2 upstairs, 2 downstairs. I want to get some more. But at first I got like a really I think it was a cinnamon or vanilla scent. It was something around there that smells like more warm, because if you know me, like, I love vanilla and warm scents, especially for my perfume. But after I got those 2, I was like, I don't really like this smell. Like, it's not like doing anything for me. Like, yeah, it smells good, but it's just not doing anything for me. So I told my husband, I said, put one in the upstairs bathroom, put the other one in the downstairs bathroom, because I'm not really in those 2 bathrooms, so don't really care about the smell. And then I got the fresh, crisp linen, I think. And then I put one upstairs, like in the loft area, and then one downstairs in the kitchen, and then the other one, oh yeah, I got another one, I got a third one, so that's 5 in total, and I still need to get more. The other one is in our bathroom, and it's when it sprays, I'm like, oh yes, I'm about to smell that freshness, and it really does smell so fresh. And I think that's more so of my pregnancy cravings, is wanting to smell clean things, just getting a knack for just clean things. So the other day I mopped, and he was like, I'm gonna open the back door because it just smells like clean, chemicals, everything. I'm like, yeah, that satisfies me. So yeah, you guys, everything. But yeah, after I had done, my car and everything, I felt a little better. Me and my husband was joking, playing around and stuff. And yeah, I feel like I ended the day, better than when I started it, because I truly did not know what was going on. And sometimes, that's okay. Nothing has to be wrong for you to feel down. Don't always feel like, oh, well, there has to be something wrong. You just may not be feeling it. You may not have gotten your mojo. You may have woken up, on the wrong side of the bed, and that's perfectly fine. You don't always have to justify your feelings, as long as you're not neglecting anything that you're pushing and suppressing down. Okay, so yeah. But yeah, how are you all doing? How is April going for you guys? I have been doing so good with recording in advance. I think as of right now when I'm recording, we should have like 3 episodes recorded in advance. So I'm well into April. So I'm really trying to, keep my word to you all and get you through some months of after I give birth, because after I give birth, I am not going to want a pod. Or maybe I will, and then that'll just, keep egging on. So hopefully, the 4 to 6 episodes I record gets us into May. And then I still do plan on recording every week, at least 2 to 3 episodes a week. So hopefully that'll get us like 2 to 3 months ahead, and then that gives me a break for when I don't feel like or cannot podcast, and then you guys will still be getting things every week. Audio Tuesday 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, visual Wednesdays 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. But yeah, hopefully you guys are having a good week, a good month, a good day. And if not, what y'all know what I ask. For my new listeners, I always ask, what is the one thing that you can change within your control to give yourself a better kick to the day, or, change your mood for the day. Sometimes we just need somebody to remind us that we have that power. There's something within your power that you can do to change the perspective and outcome and trajectory of your day, month, week, whatever. So you guys, I really wanted to take time because I still want this to be trackable, and I want those that are doing the same exact thing as me to, have somebody that's, on a journey with them. And you guys know, for 2026, we are doing a quarterly plan instead of a bingo board and just, oh, this is what I want to accomplish. Oh, at the end of the month, this is what I did and did not accomplish. Let's shoot for the stars next month. So with my quarterly planning, this is something that you have goals that you want to achieve in a quarter, so 3 months out of the year. So we are on quarter 2 because it is April, May, and June. We already did January, February, and March. And I actually, surprisingly to my surprise, I feel like I did accomplish every single thing that I had on that list. At the end of March, we did go over everything that I said I wanted to accomplish in that quarter. And it was just so surprising, like, not even realizing I accomplished it, but just by the weekly non-negotiables that I set for myself, it subconsciously had me achieving the goals that I set for myself at the beginning of that quarter. So I am recording this a little bit before April, but this is coming out mid to late April. So I do apologize if you guys, were waiting on this episode for me to go over my Q2 goals. But this is what this is what this episode is going to be about. Goals. Let's set the Q2 goals and weekly non-negotiables. That's going to help us achieve those goals. And then for my new listeners, if you haven't, seen Q1 goals and how I did all of that, I got a planner. And I started to incorporate my weekly non-negotiables into my plan. Now, just because we're past Q1 and all of the things like that, I don't want to negate those goals, because obviously when I achieve a goal, I want to continue to maintain the lifestyle that I set in place for myself to be able to maintain that goal, because goals aren't for you to just accomplish and then throw away. I feel like whatever you do to change yourself for the betterment for you to achieve that goal, because goals are supposed to, push us, overcome whatever, I think they should stay with you. So whatever you put in place in your life until it no longer works for you, don't just say, oh, I accomplished that goal. Okay, now on to the next. Let me forget about whatever I put in place for my life for that. I feel like these are going to be stepping stones and stepping blocks for the outcome that you want your life to look like at the end of the year. So just because you accomplished it, don't get rid of the things that you were doing to help you accomplish that. Continue to do those things, because now it should be a routine and it should not be as hard as when you first set the goal and when you were trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to achieve this goal? What do I need to change about myself or change within my lifestyle and my routine? Or do I need a routine in place to achieve that goal? Keep it in your routine, keep it in your day-to-day life, keep it in your week-to-week or month-to-month, however often you decided or deemed fit for you to achieve that goal. Keep that a part of your routine. So, like I said, not discarding anything that I did in Q1. I think I had a lot of good routines in Q1, so I'm going to continue to incorporate it throughout the rest of the year, throughout the rest of my life until, some things change. But Q2 is just adding on to that palette of things that, okay, now I need to add this to my life. Now I need to add this to my weekly or daily, routine, things like that. So, let's see. So yeah, Q2 goals, April, May, and June. Like I said, every 3 months, doing the quarterly planning, figuring out what do we want to achieve and how are we going to achieve it. Not, this is what I want to achieve, and at the end of the quarter, did I achieve it or not? Because a goal without a plan is just a goal. It's the finish line at the end of the road that you want to achieve, but you didn't figure out how you are going to get there. You didn't decide what routes you were going to take. You didn't have a plan in place to get to the end goal. So end goals for me, okay, finalize my birth plan and visitation rules. Sorry, cannot talk already. Pack my hospital bag, prepare for unmedicated birth, which some of these are kind of redundant from the first quarter, but in the second quarter, I'm supposed to be giving birth in May. Maybe it'll be April. So these are just me, keeping these things at the forefront of my mind. Acquire certification for life coaching. In Q1, we did research. In Q2, I want to figure out which certification I want, which I think I already have, but I want to obtain that certification. So taking whatever courses I need to, paying, like, first I got to figure out, how much it is and how much I need to allot or save to allot towards that certification, all of the things. But acquire certification for life coaching, topics for life coaching, vision and mission statement, pay off one credit card and get another one down to 30%. So this is starting to tack on to a few other goals that I did not have in Q1. I know one of my weekly non-negotiables for the life coaching stuff was to nail down topics, was to nail down the vision and mission statement. But I think, like I said, you can alter what you need to alter to suit your needs. If you go above and beyond and you feel overly confident when you're making these goals and you start to incorporate, or you start to go week by week, day by day, trying to incorporate new things into your routine and into your life, if you feel like you shot for the stars and you just cannot fathom everything at once, especially with this being so new, dial it back. It is okay to dial it back, because some of these things were in my weekly non-negotiables, but it wasn't a part of my Q1, like, overall goals. So I'm moving it to Q2 and I'm going to create a plan to achieve all of those things that I just said. Now, here are my weekly non-negotiables, which may not be something that I do every single week. Like, I may not do all of these things every single week, but doing something on this list, a group of somethings, like a group of these bullet points every week will help me achieve these goals that I just said. Okay. So overall goals for the year are going to be vague. Quarter goals, okay, are going to be a very much more specific. And then weekly non-negotiables are your plan or call to actions to help you reach those goals that you set for that quarter. So my weekly non-negotiables is be bold. Put together a list to send out to people. My husband and I had a deep conversation because one night I was just thinking, and it was genuinely keeping me up past midnight, and I had to work the next day. But I was just overthinking, and you guys know what I've said before in previous episodes. If you overthink, there is something that you do not trust within yourself or within the surrounding area of what's going to be affected by a decision that you make or actions that you take. So I was overthinking, just thinking about when baby Kalia gets here. What are my rules going to be, and how am I going to communicate them? You guys know my biggest goal this year is to set boundaries and communicate them very clearly so that nothing is mistaken and nothing is guessed. And I don't want to have any expectations for people, and they don't know my boundaries or expectations for them when and if they come and visit her. And then I'm upset because I didn't set any boundaries on the front end, and I'm upset because nobody is taking into consideration us being new parents. So in order for all of that to kind of be respected and more, intentional, as far as like my expectations for guests, is to set boundaries, and not only set them, but communicate them clearly. So when me and my husband were talking and I was just getting out some of the things, it just came down to me communicating my boundaries, because in my family, I've said it before, I don't mind if any of my family members hear this because it's genuinely something that's true. We grew up with the saying that kids don't have an option. Kids don't have a voice. You do what you're told, not what you think. And so I feel like that, is something that I'm unlearning, and my husband is helping me through that because I can talk to him about any and everything, which is so great. I feel like some people cannot take some of the things that they are weak in before getting into a relationship and discuss it in a relationship. So I'm very grateful that my husband is my safe space, that I don't have to shy away from those things from him as well. But that is something that I'm able to bring up with him, and he's able to help me put together like a plan or like think of some ways in a creative, way to like make my standards and boundaries and wants and needs heard. So, just talking to him, I got some ideas of, okay, some of the things that he also wants as far as boundaries, because this is my family. So I'm the one that's going to have to set the boundary with them. I'm going to have to set the tone. Now, he is not afraid to do so, but I'd rather it be me because they've never seen this side of me. And so I honestly think this is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. And that's the other thing, being a Pisces and just being who I am. I don't want to hurt people's feelings. And because I've never been able to set boundaries and communicate them or communicate my thoughts and feelings appropriately when I was a child in my family, it's harder now. And so I want to get over that hump. And if I need him for backup, he's obviously going to be there. So yeah. That's why I'm saying be bold. And I think the best way for me to be that way and get my thoughts across and everything is, one, to put a list together so that I can send it out before giving birth, because I'm not going to be like, oh no, can't do this, can't do that, can't do this when I'm in postpartum. Like I'm not trying to go down a list every single time I'm talking to people or trying to give people a rundown of what I expect when they come over to my house before they come. So I want to send out a list prior to me giving birth so that everybody understands what my expectations and what our boundaries are going to be. So that way nobody's confused. Nobody's like, oh my gosh, shocked. I put in that list. I'm not going to read my list to you all unless you guys want it. If the mommies come to the Pretty Confident podcast and you want to know what my list is, I do not mind sharing it whatsoever. But I did put in the list, these are our boundaries, and they are subject to change based on what our needs are once she gets here. Now, do or don't be offended to our boundaries. These are truly here to protect us, to protect her. And if you don't like them, stay home. If you cross any of these boundaries when you get here, future visits will be discontinued until me and her father agree. And then I also have something on there about, visitation, the number of people the time of which you stay, the duration of which you stay, and as well as who the visitors are, must be announced and scheduled with he or me specifically, because there's going to be a lot of things that I'm doing for Kalia that has to come right out of my body. Okay, breastfeeding. So even with that, I'm already uncomfortable with people seeing me naked. Like, I want to be fully clothed. If anybody is here, I don't want to pop out a titty and put it in my child's mouth and everybody's there and looking at me. No. So if feeding needs to happen, I'm either going to go in another room or everybody needs to leave. One of the two is going to happen. Majority of the time, more times than not, it's probably going to be everybody leaving. Because I don't know how long she may or may not feed. But yeah, so what else? Oh yeah, there's something on there about, who's coming needs to be announced with us, because there will not be any drama or animosity around my child. I am, for the longest time, me and her father are going to be the protector of her space, the protector of the energy in her space. And so if there's somebody that is trying to come over that I don't approve of, that he doesn't approve of, they're not coming. We already have a few people on that list. So I know it's going to make some people upset, but it's not to please people. I'm not people pleasing any longer in this life. I've stopped that since like 2025, end of 2024. I don't even know, but I stopped people pleasing. And so if it does not make you happy and you are not the person that is not allowed to come over, if you are somebody that's taking offense to that or has an issue with it, don't come. Perfectly fine. But do not bring it up to me when you get here either, because I'm not in the business of changing my mind. Whatever I say is what I said, and whatever I say is going to go is going to go. This is my house. You cannot dictate what I do and who you bring to my house. You and the guests and other visitors will be turned around. Okay. But like I said, if that is something that, new mommies want, or moms to be, or just anybody like that's curious of those type of lists, I will definitely be more than happy to do an episode on it, because I have a list for the hospital. So like my birth preferences before, during, and after labor. And then, like I said, I have a visitation list that's going to list out all the rules, the do and don'ts, and the what we are and are not having after postpartum and getting home. So I can definitely do an episode on that if the people want it. Pack hospital bag in case of early labor. Now, this is my first child, okay? I've heard stories and I've seen TikToks of babies coming out 1 to 2 to 3 months prior to their due date. My baby girl is doing really well. She's treating me very nicely. So I just don't know the trend of which I will have my babies, because my nail tech, she's like, yeah, I'm always 3 days early or 3 days, behind my due date. But it's always number 3. It's either 3 days early, 3 days late. And then her sister is pregnant and this is her third child. And she was like, yeah, she's always, I think she said she's always early. I think that's what she told me. But either way, I don't know if Kalia will come on her due date a little bit after or before, or if she decides to come sometime in April, whether that be the beginning, middle, or end. So for me, I've heard stories and I've heard people tell me that, I just wish I had my hospital bag packed sooner, because I either had to pack it while I was like in labor, or I had to send somebody else to pack my bag. And so I'd rather just be prepared, because you guys know one of my goals was to prepare for motherhood. And this is definitely one of those things that I can do to prepare myself for when I'm about to give birth, because I'd rather it be more seamless than stressful. So taking every little precaution that I can to help streamline that process of me getting to the hospital, of what I need after I give birth and all of the things like that. Yeah, that may be overbearing to somebody else, but for me, it's what calms my nerves and helps me stress less, or takes that complete stress factor away. So yeah, I've done a lot of research on what I may need. I think I have everything I think everything that I need is on the way. So it's just about putting everything together, packing it, and setting it to the side. So that way, if I'm at one of my checkups and my doctor's like, oh, you're dilated XYZ, we can't send you home. We got to go ahead and check you in and have this baby. I'd rather my man or somebody in my family run to my house, grab my stuff, and there's nothing extra that they need to grab other than maybe a charger. But yeah, I want to make it easy, and I don't want to stress about that stuff. Like, the only thing I want to worry about is getting my baby out of me, not do I have everything that I need after I give birth. Okay. Next, stretch, exercise, and breathing techniques. As you guys know, I'm always out of breath whenever I'm talking on this podcast. One, because I'm talking, I feel like a little bit faster than what I used to, which I'm very proud of myself because I feel like I used to talk really slow. So this podcast has really been a great thing for me and my development as far as speaking and speech and things like that. But there's going to be certain breathing techniques that helps push the baby and not strain my muscles down there, causing tearing. They did say that they don't do episiotomies anymore, which is where they cut you to prevent you from tearing. And then, obviously they got to suture you back up, tie you up and whatnot, give you stitches down there. But I don't want to be cut. So I'm glad that they said that they don't cut, but that also means that I don't want to tear. So doing breathing techniques, because depending on your breathing, depending on how clenched or relaxed your jaws are, can determine what goes on in your pelvic area when you're giving birth. If you're tight and clenched and everything and trying to push, you're pushing against tightened muscles, which will cause you to tear. If you're more relaxed in your jaw and you're more, breathing more relaxed and, not squeezing and clenching and barreling down, you're pushing and breathing with relaxed muscles, which will help the baby come out more seamlessly as well as prevent tearing. So whatever I can do to help me and my baby's delivery, I'm going to do it and prevent me from tearing. Okay. But exercising and stretching, doing my pelvic floors, opening my hips, making sure I'm still staying active, can help me in that way as well. Because if your pelvic floor and your hips are not open and your pelvic floor is tight, stretching, okay? Tearing. And I want to do everything in my power not to tear. But yeah, so let's see, write down topics of what I'll discuss on my life coaching. I think I'll keep it similar to my podcast, just advice, being confident, relationship stuff, like anything like that. But I just want to make sure I have it written down and nailed down, because maybe whatever I'm spitballing, there's maybe more that I want to cover. There may be less that I want to cover, but I want to nail down the topics and then come up with my vision and mission statement. So that is the same as my Q2 goal, but honestly, I do have to come up with it. So write it down, come up with it, think about it, write it down. Think of a name for that business, because obviously it is going to be a business. It is going to be an LLC. So I got to think of a name of what I wanted to call it. Like, obviously I have the Pretty Confident Podcast. I don't know what I'm going to call my life coaching business. Price out the certification and save for it. Depending on how much it is, I may be able to just throw the money at it and then take the course that I need to gain the certification. But if it's more than what I'm anticipating, obviously gonna have to make up a plan to save for it, determine how long it's going to take to save, and then discover how long it's going to take to actually achieve and acquire that certification. Pay off my Capital One credit card and pay my Fifth Third card down. So I don't know if I told you all, but I did close all of my accounts except for my credit card with Fifth Third. I just think after doing research and after, figuring out what's going to work best for me, is I figured out that a credit union is best for us to keep our money in. Not only because banks, I feel like are just, I don't know, some banks are just wonky, and I feel like Fifth Third, I've been with them since my very first job. So maybe when I was 16, and they just have not done anything for me. Now, Ascend, they have been great to me, to my husband, coming out of the military, not having anything on his credit and helping him get to that point. So why not go to people that are willing to help us and take a chance on us, and for us to prove our worth to them? But not only that, but they also have high yield savings and checkings account. So I just felt like it was so much easier to just, bank with them, with the amenities and the things that they have set in place for their customers, and I feel like it's a lot more protected. Like I just had to deposit a check that was sent to my husband and I, because now we have a joint bank account, which I'm so happy about. But one thing that the bank never did was review the check and confirm that there are certain things in place to be able to deposit that check into the account. It's basically just, if the check is deposited, do the mobile deposit, take the pictures, submit it, it's in your account. But with Ascend, they said that, I learned that you have the right for mobile deposit to, protect yourself or prevent anybody else from trying to deposit the check in person. So I just like there's little precautions like that keep me and my husband and our account safe. So yeah, we switched, and so I switched everything. But I'm not gonna close that Fifth Third credit card because, like I said, I've been with them since I was like 16. So that also means that they are my longest credit card holder. And so if I cancel that, my credit score could definitely decrease, because the life of my credit history is going to, the life of that credit line is going to be closed and no longer considered in my credit report. So then that could, be a negative for my credit report and my credit score, and closing it is just going to cause my credit score to go down, because that is my longest lifetime credit card account. So yeah, just wanted to, pay down my cards, because you guys know that my goal for the year was to keep my cards around 10 to 15%. So just starting off with that is definitely going to be a big lifesaver. Come up with a weekly budget to put more towards my Fifth Third card. So definitely gonna have to budget a little bit more. The help we thought we were gonna get every month from, veterans assistance is not gonna happen. So until my man gets a job, and gets, his disability up, that's going to be something that I have to budget very precautiously, because there's going to be things that we need and the things that I absolutely want. But sometimes you just have to change the way that you are spending for a period of time. And maybe, that ends up being your long-term budget of how you go about budgeting things and figure out, okay, what do I need to spend my money on, or what's unreasonable and what is reasonable. So just wanted to make sure we're all good. We have a savings account, we have money in our joint bank account for a rainy day, but not wanting to touch that. What can I do to budget on the front end? But yeah, coming up, if I want to pay down my credit card, obviously I have to come up with a plan, come up with a budget of what I'm going to do with other expenses to either get more money, free up more money from anything that I don't absolutely have to put more money towards that credit card to help me reach that goal, right? So that's something that I have to put in action to be able to achieve that goal. And then talk more in my social media videos. You guys, this one I think I'm the most excited about, because I did a couple talking videos on my TikTok, especially, my TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. And overnight, I feel like my YouTube has taken off a little bit more. I don't know what happened, but I think not showing people my personality and not talking about things that maybe other people are going through on my social media is what keeps me, at this level. If you're listening, you're not seeing it, but, I just the lifeline, when you go, I don't want to say dead, but when you lifeline, it's just a straight line. It's no ups, it's no downs. I really feel like that's kind of where my content has been more recently. And so when the last couple the last couple videos I posted on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram for my content creation stuff, I have just gotten so much love and so many more followers. Literally, I had under 100 followers before I started this year. And like I said, I am recording this before April, and it is coming out towards the end of April. But overnight, literally last night, I did not go to sleep with as many followers as I had this morning. And so I had a notification that I got a new subscriber. And when I looked at my subscriber list, how many subscribers I had 124. I was nowhere near that. like yesterday or a couple days before, I was nowhere near that. And so with the talking videos, I feel like it's giving people, like a better perception of me. And I feel like people are not going to follow you if they don't have some type of connection to you or feel like that they can relate to you. So, I kind of introduced myself on one, I almost said episode again, but on one video. But the video before that, I was just talking about like my makeup, and I feel like I had a makeup fail. And there was just so much encouragement across all three platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, because I had an idea, I had a vision of what I wanted my makeup to look like at the end of that video, and it just did not look like that. But I considered it a fail because I don't know, I was not confident in that makeup whatsoever, and I still went out in it. I still felt good, but I just didn't like the look. Like I felt like it was a fail to me because it didn't come out to how I wanted it to come out to. But every female, there was so many comments of, oh my gosh, no, you look so beautiful. You look gorgeous. This look is gorgeous. It's not a fail. You did an amazing job. Makeup can be frustrating sometimes. Don't give up. Like all of the encouragement. This just made me feel so bubbly inside, because it's like, dude, like these are females that can relate to me. They see what I'm doing, and not only are they trying to relate to me, but they're also trying to encourage me, and encourage me not to give up, or encourage me to try again, or, just trying to change my perspective about the look, because it genuinely did not look bad. I was like, oh, well, maybe I'm tripping, because I just felt like it looked bad. Like when I finished recording that episode, I felt like it looked terrible. I really did. But when I edited the video and posted, I was like, oh, it came out cute. But to me, I still felt like it was a fail. But for other people to go out there and have the courage and, just want to uplift another woman, especially a woman of color, it just made me feel so freaking good. So I'm so excited for that weekly non-negotiable in particular, because I feel like that's what's going to help me grow my audience. And that's genuinely one of the vague goals for the entire year that I had. So yeah, I'm just so excited for that one. And I definitely want to talk more about my pregnancy experiences, because I have not talked about that whatsoever. So there may be mamas out there that may be feeling the same thing like me and don't have anybody to talk to about it. Or, there may be somebody out there that doesn't see anything of what they're experiencing out there on the internet now. And so maybe my experiences are the same as theirs, and then they can relate to me that way. So yeah. And then I also want to talk about topics I've discussed on the podcast. And maybe I can put this on my podcast TikTok, my podcast Instagram, my podcast YouTube, as well as my personal content. So then there's, my personal pages. That way there's two different spots that it's getting pushed out from. So, just growing my audience and trying to figure out ways to do so while also still being myself and being who I am, because I'm never going to change that. But I know me as a person, me and who I am and loving to talk, I do not like to rush what I'm talking about. So if I can do like a voiceover in my videos, because it limits me to a specific time, because if I'm just free form talking and recording, it's going to be a podcast episode. But in a video, for those platforms, they don't want to see that long content unless they want to go out there on YouTube and find the long content themselves. So me talking about podcast episodes and certain topics that I've already discussed in a short time frame of me just doing a voiceover from a video I've edited, I feel like that'll help me a little bit because it's keeping me confined to a certain amount of time without me oh my gosh, it's already 5 minutes into this episode and this video, and I'm still not done with my overall look or the point that I'm trying to make. So yeah, so I'm so excited to do all of those things. Oh yeah, that was still definitely one of my Q2 goals, was continue to grow my audience. It was just off to the side, so I didn't read it. But yeah, those are my Q2 goals, as well as the weekly non-negotiables that I'm going to, make sure I incorporate and check off as I do complete them, because some of these things I'm not going to have to, continue to take on every single week or month. Like some of these things, be bold, put together a list. Once I put together a list and cascade it out, that's done. I don't need to do that every single time. I need to set a boundary. Write down topics, come up with a mission statement. That's something that I just need to do right then and right there. Just a one-time thing. It's not something that I need to do and make sure I continue to repeat in my routine. So like I said, some of these things you need to make sure that you're incorporating into your daily lives, your weekly activities, your weekly routines, your daily routines. And if it's something that you want to continue to do after you achieve the goal, make sure it's something that you continue to do in your routine, and just add new things that, kind of are compatible with that to help you achieve the next goal that you're trying to go on to. Because some of these goals we cannot achieve without achieving something before that, putting a routine and plan in place before that to make sure that is something that we can actually achieve. There's some goals that require multiple achievements before being able to check that goal completely off. So yeah, you guys, that is this week's episode, just about goals. So if you are doing quarterly planning, and you haven't written out your Q2 goals, hopefully this helps you put some things in place and think about some weekly non-negotiables that help you reach your Q2 goals, while also, going to the overall look of what you want your life to look like at the end of this year and who you want to be at the end of this year. You may not like who you are now, but what can you do on a day-to-day basis to change the things and the actions and the choices that you make to help you become the person that you want to be? So I'm going to go ahead and close this episode out, you guys. I cannot wait to see you all in next week's episode. I love you. Peace out.
Thank you for tuning in to the Pretty Confident Podcast. Remember, confidence isn't about perfection, it's about embracing who you truly are. So until next time, stay bold, stay authentic, and stay pretty confident. Peace out.